Good morning, and thank you so much for keeping it with us here on the big network that is Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, UBC TV, and more particular this morning show. We'll appreciate people for waking up with us every weekday from 6:30. We're here and we have a full meal, well balanced, full of information, of course a bit of excitement, entertainment here, all aimed at spicing up your morning with relevant information, light moments, and that is one of the reasons you should never miss to begin your day with us here. The big team is always here, those you see on your screen, and of course the big team behind the scenes that make it possible for us to be here, to come to your room wherever you are every morning. I'm Robert Chirabonyonyi. It is exactly 8 a.m. this morning. And today I'm having a very interesting topic, though it is a painful joy, I must say, because we are going to be discussing the question of illicit alcohol on Ugandan market. We must take you back that just about last week we saw people dying because they consumed CT5 gin that was manufactured, that is in the northern part of this country, and we had people from Adiokolo and people from Arua who succumbed to death after taking this gin. But also many are still nursing injuries. Some may be temporary, others may be permanent. Some have lost sight, some can't hear, some have had their nervous systems paralyzed, and so much of that. But we must remind you that by an act of parliament, government of Uganda has a body that is mandated to ensure we have standards in this country, and also has a surveillance unit that is supposed to ensure is there compliance to move around. I know many people, when I talk of that body, you understand that that is UNBS, that verifies, certifies products to ensure that they are safe for human consumption. So many have been asking, where was the watchdog? How did this happen? Because many Ugandans will tell you it is hard to have on market a product that has not been certified by these people. They see them everywhere. Earlier on, I was telling one of my colleagues that ask any person with a retail shop, he will tell you how these guys are visible, that even if you opened up yesterday and your weighing scale is not up to date, they'll come and collect it and you have to pay. But very interesting, in studios I have officials from UNBS. I have the spokesperson or PRO, that is Livia Chirabo. You're most welcome.
Thank you so much, Robert, and good morning, our viewers and listeners.
I also have the much wanted man here, and that is the senior surveillance officer, Gaston Chironde. You're most welcome to our studios.
Thank you, Robert, and good morning, viewers.
Now, Slivia, before you go any further, I know the public is eager to understand exactly what happened from your side of the story. Let's just start with that before we begin asking here and there.
Okay, good morning once again, our viewers. As it has rightly been said by Robert, we all came across this information when our people in the West Nile succumbed to death, and many others reported to be not in good health and hospitalized, and after consuming some alcoholic drinks. And it was at that time alleged that the alcohol was probably contaminated. As the UNBS, our mandate is clear. We develop standards. We also promote the use of standards in the market, in the manufacturing sector, but as well as enforcement of compliance to the specifications of the standards. So what happens as UNBS, for us to confirm that the product that you're manufacturing, the product that you're dealing with is safe for human consumption, is safe for any one of those consumers that you're supplying, you must have undertaken the UNBS certification process. And in the UNBS certification process, you are required to comply to the specifications. And because for this particular case, we are speaking about alcohol, but the UNBS mandate spreads across all the products. And these products that are covered by the mandatory standards. And when we speak about the mandatory standards, these are standards that must be adhered to by all people who are in the manufacture, in the sale, in the distribution of products that have a direct impact on the health and safety of consumers. So the mandatory standards actually cover all products that we consume, drinks, food, etc. So this qualifies alcohol to be among the high-risk products that our UNBS emphasizes on, that they must be able to comply with the requirements of the standards. And for us to do this, it is anchored in the law, the UNBS Act, as well as the relevant regulations under which we derive our mandate to enforce. So there is the market surveillance regulations that my colleague Gaston here will be able to indulge into details, but also the UNBS certification regulations that requires all those products to have been certified by the UNBS. Unfortunately, for this particular brand of alcohol that caused harm, and we really send our condolences to the families that were affected, that lost their loved ones, and those that are still in hospital, was not certified by the UNBS. What does this mean? That despite the existing laws, despite the existing good practice and our efforts as the UNBS to make sure that all products that are sold on our market, that are sold within our communities, are certified by UNBS, we have those unscrupulous people who continue to put uncertified products on the market. And for some reason, they cut the cost, make it cheaper, and actually illegally distribute the same to our people to take. If you look at this factory, which manufactures this particular gin that caused problem to our people, we have been to that factory. We certified the wine. Yeah, they have a wine that they produce, and our team went and assessed the production process of the wine and gave them a UNBS quality mark. But for reasons that are known to them, which are really very selfish reasons, they brought a product that no one had actually assessed and put it on the market and gave it to our people. Unfortunately, this product was dangerous. This product had contaminants, ingredients that were not allowed to be in an alcoholic product.
Well, Sylvia,
so
having talked about or taken us through that process,
yes,
because we know the law is always there.
Yes.
But of course, people will always break the law. This is why government puts a watchdog to ensure that people not break the law. And I want to bring in now Gaston here, because you head this particular unit. I was privileged to attend a workshop that was organized after this incident by people in this business. And I want to quote one thing that came out. I want to quote Onapito Ekomolot, who happens to be the chairperson of Uganda Alcohol Industry Association. They all agreed that 60% of alcohol on our market is illicit. Now, how do we have 60% of this on the market with a watchdog? Are you sleeping on duty? What is wrong?
Thank you, Robert, for that question. Briefly, UNBS is there to enforce standards, as Sylvia said, the mandatory standards. And by illicit, it means it is not allowed. And the UNBS enforcement arm of UNBS, which is the market surveillance, we have what we call market surveillance regulations of 2021, which puts in place a number of mechanisms to ensure that we curb on these illicit activities. And one of them, we have what we call the regular market surveillance inspections, okay, where we go in the shops to check on the products there, substandard products, if any, because if you don't do a root cause, you'll never know that these things actually happen. So you need to be in the market to make sure you trace back, identify the products, then trace back. So we have that routine surveillance inspections. We also have what we call we carry out what we call regular patrols, okay, to curb some of these distribution vans and vehicles. We have what we call checkpoints. We usually mount checkpoints on various roads that go into the different regions of the country. And it is through these interceptions or interventions that we can come up and identify such illicit activities. So UNBS as an institution, we are doing our best to ensure that these people are brought to book. What I want to add is, whereas we do our best, also the people dealing in these things are not sleeping, okay? So ideally we should ensure that we are also 24-hour on the roads, in these factories and in the market, to ensure that we curb on these illicit activities. Yes.
Chironde, how best is your best when we have 60%? If it was a paper and then that would mean 60% of alcohol is quite a big number. I'll give you an example. We all agree that you've done so much in the area of cosmetics. Yeah? That today you've hunted even the big fish in the cosmetic industry, and then what you shouldn't produce. When you go to these retail shops, talk about weighing scales. I told you, even if you opened a shop today and tomorrow you get that weighing scale, UNBS will be at your door and they'll be able to get it. So how best is your best in the terms of alcohol? Would we allude to that maybe it's not one of the areas you've not prioritized? Would we say it is because of corruption, that because alcohol is one of the business that really yields in a lot of money, and maybe you're being bribed off instead of enforcement? Why is the weakness? Because what you call your best is next to nothing but best.
Maybe before Gaston comes in, I want us to clarify on the 60%. That is a research that has been undertaken by the industry. As the UNBS, that is not official statistics. Because you know, for us as UNBS, we look at promoting fair trade. But as we promote the fair trade, we make sure that the products on the market are safe for human consumption. In this case, we support the big manufacturers, yes? But also we appreciate that we have our people who are just coming up, the MSMEs. So we support those as well. We train them and make sure that they are able to comply to the minimum requirements of the standards. And I must say, as a regulator, we don't agree with the 60%. And we are not part of that research. So I don't want us to dwell so much on the research that has been undertaken by an association, you know, to show what is happening in the entire sector. That withstanding, of course, my colleague will add on to that. As part of trying to make sure that the enforcement is successful, our teams, the enforcement teams, we have actually tasked the private sector to come up with associations that are sector-based. And as you said, we have an alcohol sector association. And we actually, if you looked at the UNBS certification database, we have over 400 local manufacturers of alcohol and alcoholic products. As the media, you may need to interest yourselves also to look at how big is the alcohol association. Yeah, is it 50% of what the existing structures, the existing players in the sector is? I don't know. that is some work that you can do after this. But what I wanted to make clear to our viewers and to Ugandans is, as UNBS, we have actually, we work very well with associations and we encourage self-regulation. If you're an association, you know the people, you know your competitors, you know the people you're dealing with in this same sector. So if you know that, for example, Chirabu is manufacturing alcohol, and maybe where the UNBS is not present, because I think Gaston said it, it is a 24-hour game, yeah, for the manufacturer, for the person in industry. But as the Bureau, are we operating 24 hours? No. As the Bureau, are we everywhere in those communities where these products are being sold? No. But we have the local administration, we have the police, we have other structures of government that we work closely with. We collaborate and require them to share information with the UNBS on a regular basis. And this is for the good of you and me. It's not for the good of UNBS as an institution. Really, this is because it is affecting our health, it is affecting the safety of our people, of your brother, of your uncle, of your son. Because when you look at the alcohol industry, there is some bit of misuse. So as all key stakeholders, we must be able to work together. The UNBS certification is good for the manufacturer. It is actually more important for the consumer. So what we are saying, before you buy that favorite alcohol product, does it bear the UNBS quality mark? Because that is the basic information you should be able to demand for as a consumer. Before the UNBS comes in, because we've gone there to do, and what we do is for the benefit of the Ugandans. For you as a consumer, have you taken on your responsibility? Because in the first place, that product does not have a UNBS quality mark, should be rejected by the community, by the consumers. Yes? Because as UNBS, we may not have that information all the time. We have information 90% of what is happening on the market. But that 5%, that 10%, you and me know this person is either my neighbor, the one who is manufacturing the alcohol actually, or it's distributing or selling in that small kiosk in your neighborhood. And then you move on, you don't care. You see, you don't give the information to the UNBS, you don't give that information to the health monitoring teams, you don't give that information to the police. I mean, okay, let's leave the person to make the money, yeah? But which product is that person dealing in? Which product are you dealing in? How are you making that money in the brackets?
That well said, Slivia. I want to go back to Chironde. Chironde, of course, Slivia is calling upon the public. I don't know how well advanced she is with the drunkards and alcoholics, and how people who consume most of these gins really are sober enough to find out this. But of course, it has some relevance to the public. I want to come back to you. Help us understand. People, since time immemorial, have been taking liquor, been taking gins and all that. What is the danger? Or why should someone be very conscious? Remember one time there is a VIP who said, Waraji doesn't kill people. If it was killing people, we would be dead. I started taking Waraji in senior 2, you know. So help a person know why if they're taking Waraji, why if they're taking these liquors and all that. Because packed beer, what that is by big companies. What has killed in the history of Uganda has always been these circuits, those funny bottles. So what is that danger? And what can it cause for them to be conscious? What content, what causes the problem, and why should then a person, and what are the side effects, so that a person knows what to be scared of, than just saying, this is Mia Waraji, we've drink, our great parents, we've taken kurud, we've taken what, we've taken all that.
Thank you, Robert. As my colleague has just stated, the business of manufacturing requires technical personnel, and we encourage these industries to usually employ people who have the knowledge of what they are trying to do. However, most of these people don't want to pay these quality controllers, and at the end they end up making such mistakes because they look at some of these things as basic science or basic knowledge, which anyone can do. However, quality controllers, these are people who went to school, they studied these things, and they are basically there to ensure that there is consistency in the quality of the product as it is being produced. Now, to go back to your question, alcohol is a generic word, okay? However, we have different alcohols, and one of them is ethanol, we have methanol, we have propanol, we have butanol, among others. Now, all those alcohols have got different, what can I call it, uses. They have different uses, they have different properties, they have different boiling points, and at the end of the day, in the process of distilling ethanol, methanol, for example, is a byproduct of the distillation process of ethanol. So it is an alcohol, and it is supposed to be tapped off at a different boiling point from the one of ethanol. You will also appreciate that also water has got its own boiling point of 100. So at the end of the day, after harvesting these alcohols, methanol, if taken, it has the same effect, okay, like ethanol. However, when you consume it, it can cause blindness. It can also cause complications in the digestive system. At the end of the day, you die, okay, as a result of exposure to this type of alcohol. So what happens is, one, ethanol is slightly expensive, actually very expensive compared to methanol. And as I told you, ethanol is the one supposed to be consumed, not methanol. Because methanol is supposed to be used in other places, like in the paint industry, they use it to dilute the paints. It is basically solvent for the industrial purpose. Okay, it is also used in refrigeration sometimes as a coolant. So apparently it has its uses. Ethanol also has its uses. So the issue is the value. Methanol is cheaper than ethanol. However, when someone takes both, at the start you get the same impact, okay? But the effect thereafter is different for both.
So what Chirondo is referring to, same impact, he means you all get drunk.
Exactly.
You know, you all feel the fact that, yes, I'm taking a liquor, it is working on me. By the end of that day, one has tougher side effects, whereas the other, I don't want to say is safe, I don't believe in gin and alcohol, but the other, hey, you know, drunkards are danger to themselves. The other, you will take, enjoy, and later you can have your hangover, struggle, and continue with life.
Okay, let me continue submitting. So ethanol is a product of the genes, is basically supposed to be ethanol. So these quality controllers in the industry, the standard she was talking about talks about an alcohol content of minimum of 37.5%. So what these people do, deliberately, I believe, because I mean such a raw material is not supposed to be anywhere near the factory, the methanol. So what they usually do, because they know, as you said, the kakuba, so they put it aside, dilute this, instead of 37.5, make it lower, bring the other one, because it is cheaper, top it up to improve the potency of the product. However, if a quality controller was in place, very knowledgeable, he should have told the director of this company, you know what, such a raw material is not supposed to be here, and actually don't purchase it. So what does that mean? It means this quality controller should be able to verify the raw materials that are brought at this factory. So these are basically our ambassadors in the factory concept. So when we certify your factory, with the first requirement, do you have a quality controller in place? So if you have the quality controller, as the regulator, we should go back and ask the quality controller what went wrong. okay, it should be able to answer. Because I mean, you are the one who studied these things. So I believe this company lacks this technical personnel.
Okay.
And that's why Sylvia is saying the public should always concentrate on products bearing the UNBS quality mark.
Well, on the 25th of this very month, that is the Minister for, that is Trade, Industry and Cooperative presented to Parliament, that is a statement on what had happened. And the statement, this was by the Honorable Minister. And one of the things that comes out in this statement is, and I want to read to our viewers one of the paragraphs, that the Bureau noted that it had certified Luluwiri fruit wine to produce semi-sweet, still table pineapple wine, undergoing conformity and, okay, to be more brief. But then it says that CT5 pineapple flavored gin, which failed laboratory analysis for having low alcoholic content, which was below 37.5 volume required of a gin as per the specification of standards. Therefore, one thing that comes out is this was brought to your notice, and you said doesn't meet the required volumes to be a gin that is sold on market. But this company went ahead and truthfully produced this and put it on market. One question that comes to my mind is, how do you carry on your follow-up? Because we've also seen incidents where liquor has killed people, and you said these people moved away from what they presented to us as Uganda National Bureau of Standards. So Sylvia, how is your monitoring team? Is it a one-off that you come to us, we give you standards, we agree with the samples you've given us, but following up? Because for me, as a person drinking, as long as I see, in case I see your logo, I'll go ahead and say this is safe. But do you carry out continuous assessment to ensure this people are sticking to the guidelines that were given by your very organization?
That is very correct. And my colleague here, Gaston, is from that specific department. The UNBS certification team comes to the manufacturing premise, assesses the particular products that that particular industry is dealing in, and if convinced, and if the samples that have been taken for analysis in the UNBS labs comply, the UNBS permits that particular manufacturer to use the UNBS quality mark and therefore put products on the market. But we also know that our people, sometimes some of them are not reliable. When the Bureau certification team leaves, they do something else. That's where we have the market surveillance team. And I want to assure the Ugandans that the government of Uganda has been progressively supporting the UNBS to expand our operations beyond Kampala. And Mr. Gaston here, he works within the Eastern region. We also have a team that works within the Northern region. We have a team that is working within the Western region, and the government has promised us more funds to expand on the decentralization agenda for the Bureau, and that is what we are looking out for as the government is rolling out the parish development model, encouraging more people to go into production and manufacturing. The aspect of standardization is critical, and as it is critical, the UNBS staff and presence at the community levels also needs to increase, because Robert and our viewers, you all know so many industries are coming up every day. Today this one is here, maybe you have like 20 or so many industries in Arua city. The next day the businesses are expanding, so it is at that rate that the UNBS is also supposed to expand. And when we expand, we bring the certification services as well as the enforcement services, because the two move together. The UNBS will support, train you to have a certified product on the market. the UNBS enforcement and market surveillance team will be at your doorstep to ensure that actually the product that we have certified is what you are still putting on the market, to ensure consistency and conformance to the requirements of the law.
Well, our viewers, we are still looking at production standards, of course, and also dealing with illicit alcohol on market, where we recently saw 17 people die because of consuming that is CT5 gin that is in Arua and Madiokolo, where they succumbed to death, and others are still sustaining side effects of having taken this. Now, this brings me to Chironde here. We are told by some producers, and the good thing is you're here, that you guys are demigods. The process of getting such your product certified by UNBS is very tedious. It is a long process. You must know somebody. It involves a bit of sometime chintu chidogo. That this is why some of these people, the charges are also relatively very high. This one comes, says no, the other one, then later, then and some at the end of the day says, you know what, I know somebody, we can have this bypass. Why are you making it this hard for these Ugandans? And it is only now with the big investors, people with the big money, sometimes with the Gambanogu and all this. Why do you make this relatively hard for people to just get their products certified and save lives?
Thank you, Robert. Viewers, I want to make this categorically clear that the issue of costs, the UNBS management received that concern, and they decided to reduce those costs to reasonable levels. But also certification as a process, it takes a cost, and it is two-way, on the side of UNBS and on the side of the client. If UNBS comes to your place, it is supposed to inspect the place. When they audit the factory against the requirements of the product standards, okay? So these standards stipulate the various requirements which you should adhere to. So the assumption is UNBS will give you those requirements, put them in place, and get your product, submit it to the lab for analysis. So if your product is not okay, you are supposed to do what they call a root cause analysis, find out why you failed, okay? After finding out why you failed, the other quality controller should be able to make those corrections and make the relevant tests and find out whether the product has passed. So after the product has passed, and you have also done your corrective actions after the audit, I believe the certification process should be as easy as eating I don't know what. So it is not true that UNBS hardens life for people to get certified. Actually, it is one of our wishes to have every product certified by UNBS, such that because we are the ambassadors of the public out there, so we encourage people to actually come and access our certification services. The more reason why we have decentralized our certification services, such that even the Wudubi maize mill in Sironko, you go to Mbari office, apply for certification with ease, and get certified. You don't need to come to Kampala. We have also automated our systems, okay? You can now even apply online, put the necessary documentation, get certified online, get your permit, e-permit, okay? So I believe we have really done a lot of interventions to ensure that the certification process is very made simple for the simple Ugandan whom we have submitted. And as UNBS, we encourage whoever is engaging in manufacturing, okay, be it the MSME, be it who, please, if you come up with an innovation, work closely with UNBS, to ensure that your product gets certified before it goes on the market.
At what stage should I go for this satisfaction of my product? Because one would tell you that I'm still in the initial stages. First, my product is not yet known. I don't have enough money to go through this process. I'm not yet big to go on market as well. So at what level does someone say that this product now I should take it to UNBS for them to look at it, analyze, sometimes in beginning areas where even you find that much of what you require, actually one person who manufactures some funny drink. I was telling them why, and he told me, you see, they will require that, this very sophisticated, and I'm just at the beginning level. I've not even made enough money. And when they come and know, but you've failed, then they may just stop you from going ahead.
Okay, at what stage? Briefly, you are expected to obtain the product standards, okay, from UNBS. So when you develop the idea, of producing, come up with the product you want to manufacture, go to UNBS, get the product standard, look at the requirements, okay, in the product standard. After that, you're expected to do what they call a trial run, okay. So it is in the trial run that you submit that trial batch for analysis at UNBS. So certification, it doesn't depend on how much production you are. So some people think you should first go in full blast production before you get certified. No. The assumption is, or the procedure is, come up with the idea, go to UNBS, get the relevant product standard, because it doesn't make sense for you to produce without the standard at the facility. Get the product standards, what are the requirements they are in, produce a trial batch, test against the standard requirements. UNBS goes ahead to certify you even before producing 10,000 crates of the product. Okay, so the certification is not a function of productivity. Okay, we are more interested in the quality attributes in what you are producing.
Well, viewers, you can be part of the topic of discussion this morning by simply going on our WhatsApp number, which is on your screen, 0709 60 25 92, 0709 60 25 92, and we'll be able to get your message. You can send the traditional SMS, even with your capability or any kind of, it doesn't have to be a smartphone. You can just use that number and send us a text message. I'll be reading it out, or go on WhatsApp. That is the number. Then I'll also read out your WhatsApp message. But also, we are on Twitter. I will also be able to get your messages there. Please just send them in. I have them, the people you're asking. Where are they when our people are consuming substandard products? That is the Uganda National Bureau of Standards. And I have, that is the Senior Surveillance Officer, but also the head of communication there. And that is Sylvia Chirabo, with whom we are deliberating and trying to find solutions to this problem, because you must understand, day by day Ugandans are becoming innovative, new industries are coming up, and also on the other side, our alcohol consumption as a country, we are ranking in the top 5 globally. So that means many people, if we do not guard against this, please do not call this number. Kindly, our viewers, do not call the number on your screen. It is only for messages. Only for text and WhatsApp messages, and I'll be reading them out there for these guests. Oh God, kindly do not call on this number. Let's ensure that we do the right thing at the right time for the intended purpose. Now, Sylvia, going back, I'm triggered to understand when Chironde talks about the system being so easy, so quick, so supportive. For you to avoid misguided missiles from the public, they must know how smooth, how affordable, how accessible. For example, if I have my Chirabo gin, I'm trying to manufacture it, costs, so that we can, Ugandans have reached a point where they feel this is a young investor. mwana yekolera sente, you know. Why should you report someone who is struggling? And after all, at the back of their mind, they believe this is expensive. What? Let's get to that. Take us through.
Yes, it is true, Robert, and the issue of lekomana kole tokwata kumali yafe. Those are the things we really receive on a daily at the UNBS. But I want to tell our viewers that as UNBS, we are your collaborator. We are there to bring you up as a manufacturer, as an SME, so that you're able to access the market and make some money. But we are also there to make sure that the person who's going to use that product that you're going to put on the market, that person must, and I want to emphasize it, must be safe. So that is where we draw our our line. You know, we appreciate the manufacturers coming on board and boasting their innovations, their trade, their manufacturing. Very good for the Buy Uganda, Build Uganda program. But on the other hand, we have the issue of safety. As you do that, should it be at the cost of the life of Ugandans? And we are saying no, it cannot be. Make the money, come to the UNBS, and as Gaston said, we have departments that are there to help you understand and to break down these science things, you know, when he was explaining the methane and alcohol.
But my question to you was very clear, Chirabo. It was simply cost and also availability and how fast it can be.
The cost, we cut down on this cost at the eve of the COVID-19, where we had to cut the certification cost for the MSME from 1 million to 500,000 Ugandan shillings. And that is per product that you are dealing in as a manufacturer. And for the big enterprises that used to pay around 1.5 million, we cut it down to 1 million. And we are saying the issue of compliance.
So how long should this process take me?
As Gaston said actually, how long will the process take depends on you. It is the UNBS. On our side as UNBS, we have made this very simple. But where we get the bits of delays is from the manufacturers. You will come to UNBS and then the technical people will tell you, you know what, you cannot keep mixing this alcohol using such equipment. That means you need to get some bit of money and invest in and get some equipment that will not compromise the quality of the product. And then he also talked about the personnel, because sometimes our people think, since I have the capital, I can do anything. UNBS is saying no, you cannot be an expert in everything. Yeah? So if you're dealing in a particular product, you need to get someone with some technical knowledge.
Who is qualified, and of course
who is qualified,
employing a staff.
It may not be necessarily employing that person for the entire monthly pay. It may need for you to subcontract someone who comes in to give you advice and maybe help you with your production process, your procurement of the ingredients, as Gaston said, because you will go and buy methanol thinking it is what is required to manufacture again. And the scientist is saying no, it is not the requirement. And you, as Chirabo or whoever you are, you have the money, but you don't have the technical knowledge.
Very well. Now this takes me to the messages that are coming in from our viewers. Thank you so much for sending in, and of course really treasure your feedback, but you can still bring them in. That is on our number on your screen, 0709 60 25 92, both on WhatsApp and of course on the message. Now let me read some that have come in. Hello, Mr. Chironde is talking about surveillance team, but their team is more interested in weighing skulls than any other product. That they are not interested in other products at that time. Please advise your staff. Then also we have another one here. Kindly ask those UNBS guys, do we Ugandans need all those many cheap alcohol you are approving for our population. This is very dangerous to our Ugandan youth. As a customer, I'm a stakeholder in quality assurance promotion. I therefore must check products' authenticity labels before consuming. Because unscrupulous products have flooded our market, UNBS alone cannot stop the illicit producers as long as their products are being consumed. That is Charles Dick from Lila. Thank you, Charles. Then, sometimes money drives certification a lot. Even a product of substandard, you will find it in the market. However, that's not the fault of officers in charge, but sometimes order might come from above. That is Raymond from Lida. Well, I don't know how true that is. Then this is Colonel Mali from Makela. I personally, as a concerned citizen, am perturbed with behind the scenes of the government bodies. Most times heads of these government bodies are interested in their individualistic interest. I think this is where the problem comes from. So before we talk a lot, I thought the basic questions we ask were questions about those who certify these products. And I'll just read about 2 or 3 more. Your guests have said that the manufacturer is supposed to take the first bunch of the product for analysis. Did they take CT5 gene for analysis? Well, I think that was in the statement. These companies are for big people. I think it means then your impact could be very less on that. Then Semitego JB Kampala, a manufacturer prepares a feasibility study which details the product and the ingredients that will form the product. The targeted clients are necessary technical people. Okay, this one says, well, you should do more of surveillance. Now let me just take through a few here that is of SMS messages. Says, good morning, Chirabo Magumba Sula from Lugaze. There are many genes on the market without the UNBS mark. Are our people still safe? And what have they done regarding that? Okay. We also have, good morning. Many are wondering, thank you UBC for the opportunity to contribute to the program segment. Okay, yes, you can contribute to any segment. Our number is always there. It's not only this segment. And of course, thank you for appreciating that now you can give us feedback. That is a person who said the opportunity to contribute to the program. Strength and measures should be put in place. Well, I must end messages at this because they're flowing in so much. And I think this shows how people are interested in knowing what you do. Now, you can divide these questions according to who can answer what best. Now begin with Chironde.
Thank you, viewers, for the feedback you have got from this engagement this morning. Most of them have seen their positive remarks, and I want to thank the viewers for those remarks.
Though many are wondering, what is the secret in weighing scales? Where I have so much interest than other products?
That also takes me back to stakeholder engagement. The public needs to be sensitized about UNBS services. UNBS is like any other institution. It has got different arms within there. So an arm for weighing scale is there. The surveillance arm is there. Certification arm is there. Standards arm is there. Testing arm is there, among others. Okay? So the people who do weighing scales, we call them the legal metrology department. Okay? So maybe by virtue of the fact that he deals in a certain shop X with the weighing scale, so it does more interaction with those particular guys. So depending on what type of business you are doing, that's where you interface more with the different arms. If you're doing in fuel, you will deal with more with the UNBS.
Don't talk about fuel. That must be, you're opening a can of worms. That will be a story for another day.
So
because people are now wondering, if I used to use 10 liters for the same journey, today I put 10 liters, it doesn't work for the same journey. But I think we shall hold you accountable on the next
That one we shall discuss on the next talk show. So apparently UNBS has got various arms, and depending on the nature of business you are dealing in, that's where you interface with that particular arm. So ideally people need to interest themselves about UNBS services. You have a MSME department, so if you feel you're small and the micro enterprise and you want to appreciate certification, work closely with the UNBS, get your product certified. The gentleman who said he has quite assurance vigilance, that is good information. Please read on the labels. These products should have labels. Should they bear the UNBS mark, physical address. Okay, those are minimum requirements for certification. They don't need the cost. Okay, so even the public, look out the product you are taking. Is it certified by UNBS? UNBS has gone ahead even to have a UNBS app. Okay, on your phone, you can verify is this product certified by UNBS. Put it there. Check. Okay, so if it is not there, please don't consume.
Then, in the interest of time, before I move away from you, these companies belong to big people. Are you independent? Do you face intimidation? Are there when you bow down because someone says, this is a factory for so and so?
Big people, that is a layman's argument. With the law doesn't know a big person. Okay? So the big person is expected to abide by the law, not the law to abide by the big person. So apparently, standardization is not for anyone. Small or big, the ground should be
enforcement?
Leveled. Enforcement, same concept. Because we use the standard to enforce. So our tool, enforcement tool, is the standard. Okay? So the standard is the law, and even the big person, we shall take him to court if he breaks the law. As simple as that. So the concept of big person, I said big person does not apply where the law is.
Ugandans are watching.
Yes.
Chirabo, as we wind up this.
Surely, as we wind up, I just want to reckon on what my colleague Gaston has shared. As UNBS, because someone hinted on the behind the scenes of government institutions. One, UNBS is a science institution. You know very well that the government, through His Excellency, the President, he has been supporting science. The reason why they support science is to make sure that Ugandans are safe. And UNBS is one of those science institutions with a pool of scientists. You can never doubt their competence. It is on the international levels. You want anything, you'll find it at the UNBS. That I can assure you, our viewers.
But also scientists are not insulated against corruption.
The systems, we operate the systems. You know why you cannot be corrupt when you're in standardization? If you try, the product will show on the market the same way CT5 showed. If you get compromised and that unsafe product is on the market, a Ugandan will die. And when the Ugandan dies, who will be responsible? That's why it's a corruption, a no corruption zone. That is the UNBS. Because we are dealing with people's lives, we are dealing with the economy, we are dealing with trade. And many people keep bringing in the issue of Mizani versus UNBS quality services.
I think that is the most lucrative department.
It's not lucrative, but metrology, the issue of measurements is still for consumer safety. We have metrologists who are out there making sure that the consumer is not cheated in terms of the quantity. And now, Gaston and the team, they are there to make sure that you are not cheated in terms of quality. So quantity and quality, the Bureau balances the two. The inspectors, the certification people, the market surveillance may not be so popular to an ordinary Ugandan because most of the work is done at the industry, at the manufacturer's place, at a retail warehouse or store. So we may not be going on every small shop everywhere in the countryside, but we are doing our work to make sure that we have safe products for Ugandans. I want to give you our number, the 0800-133-133. I repeat, 0800-133-133. This is the UNBS toll-free number. If you have any information about a particular product that you suspect not to be of good quality, please get in touch with the UNBS. That is how we keep improving on the quality of our products on the market. We count on your support as the public. We shall do our role, and we are committed to that, but we also call upon you to work with us, give us more information about the productions and products that are within your community. And for the manufacturers and the traders, UNBS is your partner. You don't need to fear us. We are there to make you make more money by having safe products on the market.
Well, I want to thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, from the Uganda National Bureau of Standards. And to be more particular, I want to thank you, our viewers. Thank you so much for being part of this show. So many messages have come in. I must say I couldn't read all of them, but I'll forward them to the team here, and maybe they'll give you feedback. Thank you so very much for always sending in that feedback. It is our appeal. Let's support UNBS by giving them timely information, because you never know who will be a victim. Yeah. You may think you're making money, or it is your neighbor you're saving, but then your son, your daughter, your in-law succumbs after taking these products that are not safe. And to UNBS, let's not water down efforts of these people. If they bring in information, let's have timely reaction. And above all, to mention, let's ensure enforcement, there is uniformity. One of the things why government bodies are losing public trust is they report, they don't get updates, then they see others moving on. So a person will say, why would I report a poor man when someone who is well established, nothing is being done? So this selectiveness at times deters public interest in doing things. Have a lovely day. See you tomorrow, same time, God willing.
The Tales of Kasozi, brought to you by Uganda Communications Commission.
Hello?
Hello?
This is Kasozi. How can I help you?
Hey, Kasozi, my brother. Long time. We last met when we were at campus. It's been a while, but you are the person I'm looking for.
Campus? Really?
Hey, you don't remember me?
Okay, so how can I help you?
I'm stuck in Gulu making millions, and I need to urgently send money to my sick mother. But I can't find any mobile money agent